don't forget. A couple of people are not able to make it again to the class. It just seems like it's a good idea to do it anyway. Yeah, that's great. I know. I love the tiling. I mean, and then, you look at Marimekko and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's exactly what they did,
Yeah.
and other, of course, many other designers, but, Marimekko, I think of as the kind of big, bold shapes that,
Yeah.
we were kind of using already. So that was a natural. Great. Yeah. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Ellen. You can unmute yourselves if you want to be part of this early conversation. Hi. So we're just chatting a little bit about last week's homework assignment and, seeing what, any thoughts or comments about what you did and what that was like to, well, we did two things. We did some tiling, we did the big shapes. And then we also said, collaging was yet another opportunity to, do more things with these prints, because I always see them as not necessarily as an end in themselves. I see them easily as things that go other places.
Yeah, I didn't do the tiling, but I did a little bit of the collaging in.
Yes.
Which I love to do, and they make great they make great backgrounds to respond to.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely, true about them. And because of the quality of the print, you can't really get anything like it with painting.
Right.
That sort of soft, transparencies and things like that. So it really does lend itself, to using as a background or collaging and on top of other things. And because it's acrylic, of course, it gives you the benefit of just, it's not going to be hurt by, water type stuff on top of it.
So
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What technically is a collagraph? You see that term?
Yeah. Well, I understand it to be when you have, a piece of cardboard that has, relief things glued onto it. So the word coller from French means to glue. So yeah, and I don't have anything right here to show you, but actually I do. Hold on a second. So just saw the other one here. I'm not going to be able to put my hands on it right away, but yeah, you build up a plate that has things glued onto it, and that ends up being something that you make a print from.
Okay, all right.
And you can, I mean, it's a way. Hi, Katie. It's a way to get imagery onto your jelly, not quite the same way that you might do it if you were doing a traditional printmaking process with a heavy press, but it's still possible. Yeah. So basically, it just means I mean that. Yeah, we actually was going to get into that toward the next couple of classes. How to make a matrix, which is what a collagraph is. A matrix is a fixed plate that you print from, that's got stuff that's glued onto it, that's not, that's more permanent than, the temporary nature of just a monotype.
Okay, all right. I always see those terms and I'm never really sure.
Yeah. That's what it is. All right, yeah, anything else? Hi, Katie, and others who are just joining us now. So we're just chatting a little bit about last week's assignment and how, what, if anything, was remarkable to you about doing that at home. Katie.
Yes. I really got into the positive negative.
Yeah.
The idea is, as I watched the tape and I read through it, I was intrigued by the idea of the word biomorphic shape. And so I looked into other artists who work with that, and it turned out it was artists that I like. And then realizing that's what you do.
Yeah.
So I started looking at your stuff because I love your stuff. And you you used that really beautifully, and it made, and then I looked up what makes a biomarker, all that. So that was very helpful to me, and I really got into that, and I love the simplicity of starting with that, because I can get so one layer on top of another, and just the black and whites
Yeah,
uh, that I got were just powerful, and then playing around with the ghosts of them and everything. So I, and then I, for each one of the biomorphic shapes, the things I did, I played around with the collage afterwards using some of the other stuff. So, and like repeating the patterns
yeah,
that are already there, but in different ways.
yeah.
I found that really interesting.
That's great. Yes, and it really is a fun place to start, with, and so many of these things that I'm giving you are ways that you can start your work,
The great
without
design, that's what it was. It's a great design way to
design,
think
exactly.
about composition.
Yes, yes. When you
Yeah.
really when you work with just one color and you're just talking about shape, I mean, that's such an important background for anything that you end up doing. This whole concept of positive, negative, of, putting your thoughts, as much into what's not the subject as, as the, I want to say background as the foreground, but it's still, even the word background, doesn't give enough emphasis to the importance of what's around your shapes in a given, rectangle, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of getting that and then starting to see the world in that way, instead of, and it's a great way to start thinking more abstractly. Where our brain, we're all in our culture so wired, to name everything. It's a naming culture, and so that's, kind of the left brain, if you want to, use. I don't know about the scientific, accuracy these days of the whole left brain, right brain, but it is a great way to sort of categorize, a sort of general way to look at the world, where even if I'm looking at myself in my little square, my little rectangle in Zoom, the negative space is all the stuff that's around me, right? And then that would be the positive. Or you could also say, well, the positive is the background and I'm the negative shape. It doesn't really matter. But it's like a picture puzzle, it's like a jigsaw puzzle where my shape doesn't exist without the background shape. So they're equally important. And when you start to really think that way, one ends up, really being much more cognizant about how you can make a design hang together
Mhm.
more interestingly, shall we say,
Yeah.
when you take those things into consideration.
And how appealing it is to the eye.
Yes. Yes.
And it helps me not just keep throwing layers on top of layers and using this and that, and then trying to make sense out of all those
Yeah.
layers. But to
It's a
have
kind of,
that at the beginning.
that's right. That's great. It's a kind of reset, right? For because the jelly plate and the monoprinting process in general is so seductive. We can all just go down that road of, yeah, I mean, it is, it's wonderfully, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a way to kind of take a little bit more control of your design after you've got like where we are. You've got most of the sort of basics down. How to register, how to do some of these basic things. And so then what happens is the interest in kind of trying to guide your printmaking, and not just go for accidents all the time, but like try to be a little bit more in control of what you're making. So let's take a look now, if there's and we can continue this conversation to see what people did with the Padlet, and on the Padlet, and to see what each one of us has kind of been playing with over the week. And again, this is not to judge, it's just a great way to learn from each other, all these, see how other people are approaching the very same kinds of instructions. So that's what it's all about. All right, Kate, so Kate Casa, tell us a little bit about what you were thinking about. I know we missed you last week, but tell us what you ended up playing with here. What did you learn? Kate, you're muted.
Just want to say thank you so much for taping the classes because I had to miss last week and yet I didn't miss last week.
You
So
did
that
miss
was,
it.
it's really great to be able to do that.
That's great.
I put this one up because maybe it shows more of what I'm not learning than what I am learning. But I had this shape that came out of the kind of a ghost of the black and white.
Yeah.
And then I played with, putting more white in with the kind of sticks.
Mhm.
And then I had this idea that I'm struggling with trying to put the color where I want it.
Yeah.
So I had this idea that it might be fun because I was kind of seeing this almost body shape,
Mhm.
head, body thing. And I thought, oh, well, let me see, can I make like a dress, like abstractly, And so I wasn't really that thrilled with how it came out, but it was fun to play with, and also, so I feel like I'm really continuing to try to work with understanding the outcome, like
Yes.
what I do to frame the outcome.
Yes.
So that's partly
So
why
do you feel
I
like
put
that worked, that little, the trick of flipping it over was helpful
It
for you?
did, but
Yeah.
not as perfectly as I would have liked.
Yeah.
And then I felt like, well, the color, it was stronger than I would have liked the color.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
No,
if I wasn't trying to control myself to keep going, then
Yeah.
I might have done like a white opaque on
Uh-huh.
top of this.
Yeah.
But then, what I found is that next step can obliviate the entire print. So
Yeah. No, that's true too. So yeah.
I
yeah,
held back, but that
Yeah.
was a thought. And then I have another one that's like a shadow,
Yeah.
a ghost of this
Uh-huh.
that I liked. This one was just, again, it's like these shapes come out. It's like, oh my God, where did this, to me, animal come from?
Huh.
Always a surprise. And then I just played off it. But
Right.
I was just really surprised with the outcome. And
Well, it's such an
thought it was fun.
interesting, it's an interesting print for me. I'm enjoying looking at it because not only do you have, this is one where you really do see your negative positive very, very clearly.
Yeah.
And it's not so stark as just white on black because you've got something going on, behind it. And these lines work with, the things that you've got behind it work because you've got shapes that are within this black that echo it, so you've got straight shapes and you've got some straight lines going on here. You've got a circular line and you've got circularity going on in this. Anyway, so it's pleasing to look at because you've got the repetition that we like to see, and it's all about what human brains, kind of glom to. And there must be very, strong reasons for what that is about us that, we do that. But we are playing with our perceptions in when we make a design.
Yeah.
All right, Kate, and so you've got you did this also. Great, you did this right from the watching the video, which I'm impressed about because what did you learn from this? Yeah.
I'm continually more attracted to the ghosts.
Mhm.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But I just find like there's a lot of fluid. It just feels like there's a lot of, movement as these come together.
Yes.
I don't know if I can say that much more.
Okay.
The design aspect for me is challenging to sort of grapple with, but I'm trying to piece that together.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yes. Well, just to trying it out, is plenty, and certainly, that's what this was all about. Is just giving you yet another possibility in the repertoire of different things you can try. All right, Nancy, let's move on to you. What did you work with this week, and what did you learn?
So I was all keen on the prints I got after I did a print, a ghost, and then took up my shapes.
Yeah.
So I worked on that, and then I added the darker piece and then just for fun, the red dot.
Yeah, yeah, isn't that interesting? And you know how our eyes, again, you know, we are so wired to go to circles, to go to eye, you know, eye shapes, you know, think of infants, you know, and sort of connecting with the parental face and the and round shape. I mean, it's just in us. So we're gonna go boom, you know, but we also are gonna look around at these, that we look at the contours, you know, and so, and you've got this repetition of the circular, so that sort of feels comfortable to us as looking at the design. Great, and how about this one?
Yeah, so yeah, I was just having fun collaging into another one of those.
Yeah.
I guess it's after Ghost.
The ghost once removed.
Post Ghost. It's post Ghost.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, that's, and you're right. I mean, this is very compelling. That I think we talked about this, you know,
Love
to
that,
know
yeah.
that you can make this cool thing just by the ridges of what's left. You know, that's pretty, that's very, very nice, very interesting. Yeah. And, you know, having this little bit of red peeping through gives a strong focal point, you know, to the whole design. Great. Yeah.
Adria?
Yeah.
So can I just ask, so are both black pieces and the red piece collage, Nancy?
Yeah, that's really a kind of a dark teal. Those are just collaged on.
Okay.
They're painted
Cool.
papers. And then
Yes.
the blacker shape was one I cut out of a first print. The one
Because it matches so well. It looks like you put it right down where the ghost was.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So there's lots of
Like that,
possibilities
yeah.
within that. Yeah. Okay. Yes, the possibilities of this collage stuff is pretty endless. All right, Katie, let's go to you. Here over here. So tell us what you learned.
Ooh.
So I did this with I did black and white, and there's a one there of this design. And I was thinking, you know, biomorphic shapes.
Yeah.
And so I did black and white on those, and I did a bunch of them. And then I went back, and this one, I took another collage of this thing that I colored in of the same shapes,
Yeah.
cut it up and collaged it and rearranged it on behind.
Oh. So let's see if we can see that.
The-
All right. Oh, so this is the collage, everybody. Yes.
This is the collage, and even some little pieces. So the
Oh, yeah.
yellow, the red,
Yes.
and the purple are from another piece that I colored in with printing on it.
Yes.
And so I cut that up, those same biomorphic shapes, and I cut them, put them like in the background.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you say you
Fun.
colored them, do you mean you added paint to the
No, I did another, I did a print on top of one of the black and white, say, goats. Oh, I know what I
Oh.
did. No, wait, I know what I did now. There was a lot of paint that I had colored in the shapes, okay? And then I took a piece of bright green paper and I just put it down on top and I pressed it down because there was a lot of leftover paint from one thing that I did. So I just put that down, and that's how I got that. So it was kind of like a reverse printing on that, on a bright green paper.
So Katie, let me just ask you, see if I understand this, just so we can explain to others.
Okay.
This piece here, this had another one that ended up.
I did a bunch of them.
Yeah,
I did a
okay.
bunch of this print.
So what she did was then cut out from another one that had a similar, sort of, you printed on and then you cut out from one
then
that
I
was
cut it out.
similar.
One that
And then-
I did a lot of brushing on that,
Yes,
I did a reverse of the jelly.
yeah,
That's what I did. And
Okay.
I brushed the paint on, and then there was like a lot of paint. I think I did one, and then I did one, so I just pressed it down on top of the jelly plate with the paint.
yeah,
pulled it
so,
off, and then cut that up to
and
go underneath the simple black and white.
right,
was
so
still in it.
so Katie's sort of honoring the white space and just very
Yep.
carefully cutting shapes that fit in to the background, which is very tricky for you, very, that's
Yep.
very cool. And you can see this shape here is, this one here. And how
Yep.
clever, because you have an automatically related unified design that way, because you are repeating shapes that are in here, but in a different
yeah.
place. Does that
Right.
make sense, everybody? You sort of, okay, well, anyway, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
Complicated.
but just to say,
I really played around a lot, but I really, you're right, I honored the white
yeah, so, yeah.
as
so she-
opposed to the black. I could have done the black.
Yeah, but
I
very
honored it.
cleverly, she's cut this other stuff out and slipped it into places just around. So, you
Right,
have
and
this
cut it
feeling that
carefully
there's this
so-
whole other print that she printed white on top of, but she didn't. She's just, this is the kind of cool stuff you could do when you start
Right.
to play around with collage, which I love. Yeah. Great, Katie. Thank you.
There's
And,
there's another one that I did that with,
oh, this one
oh,
here?
yeah, no, if you look at the middle one that has 3 things in it, go right down below, right there, click on that.
Oops. There you go. Great,
Oh,
yes.
okay, okay, that's that. Oh, no, okay,
No.
it's another one. It's one with the leaf going through the top.
Okay,
So
but,
here it's on the far right-hand side.
all right.
Just show you another, right there, right there, right there.
There we go.
Okay,
Yes,
so again, I did a black and white,
yeah,
and then I took another thing that I did that's unrelated and cut it out
yes,
and created a design.
yes. And so,
Very thoughtfully, like I really took time to really. think
yeah,
about what I
Katie,
want.
great. And you can see, do you all see this cut shape
Wow.
that's glued on? These are cut shapes that she's glued on here. So, but when you look at the whole thing, you don't necessarily see that right away because
Yeah.
but it has the appearance of, a lot of overprinting, but it's actually collaged in, which is really an awesome thing to do. Yeah, I think it's, my opinion is that it's a very successful piece because there's a unifying simplicity to it with, complexity that's sort of subtle in the background. That makes any sense at all. I find that works really, really nicely. Okay, thank you, Katie. Let's move to Sally. Sally, tell us what you discovered.
Well, that's not glued yet, obviously. I really literally spent hours kind of shuffling those things around
Yes.
and trying to come up with something that looked okay. And it was just so much fun. It was
That's
so much fun. And
great.
I could go on forever. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah, I mean, I also really am enjoying the way this whole thing looks together because, and I think that this is the wonderful thing about, the ability to take quick pictures of our work. We can see
Yeah.
it small scale, right? As if you were to hang it up on a wall and then step back, 20 feet. You may not be able to do that, but you can see that here and you can see how the design works really well. So you've got these, sort of white channels that flow into each other, which create a bigger shape than you might have if it was just, looking at this one piece by itself. And, there's enough of an echo of these shapes that, it makes a unified design because our eye travels, along, and it's not that it doesn't have to be so explicit. We can pick up the subtlety of this continued shape. do the whole thing. Bravo. Yeah.
It's a work in progress, but it's,
Oh.
Yeah. And then
Is
here's
that
another.
tissue that you printed on? Was there some tissue in there?
yes, there was one at the bottom.
Ah, Tissue
you
paper,
print
that's
it?
yeah, that makes a good printing.
It was a ghost. It was a ghost of a ghost. It was a it was a tissue ghost, which is
Uh-huh.
usually the third. And I needed to cover up something I didn't like, so I just plopped that down. This one was my monotype tracing, the
Oh.
original, that's the background. And then
Yes.
I cut up some of the black and white shapes I tiled. I cut those up, and then I used I also used the stencils that I used
Yeah.
to make the black and white shapes,
Yeah.
but they had a different color on the back of them, so I went with it. So it's a
Yeah.
collage.
Yes,
was fun.
again, look at what wonderful things we're coming up with when we bring in the collage, this is the part of the class that gets so exciting because, we see the potential and, really the collage right here. And yet, it's not something that's necessarily sticks out when you look at the whole piece. It's just becomes a whole other, really interesting piece to look at. Great. Super. And let's see, is there anything else here?
Mm-mm.
Great. Okay. Let's go back up here to Tammy. She stealthily put this up while we were talking about other people's work.
No, I wasn't going to put anything up this week because I wasn't really in the collage mood.
Oh.
I was in, so I got obsessed with the shape of Walden, right? I mentioned this last week.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I just played around with the shape and I feel like it looks like a one-legged buffalo. A little bit. So I did it like in every, and I had gotten like leaves and pine needles and stuff. So I just did it in every permutation.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm so glad you put stuff up. Always put stuff up because it doesn't have to conform to what we know exactly. I mean, I just think that watching each other's growth through all of this and all the experimentation is wonderful. And you are doing that black and white design kind of thing, very clearly.
Well, negative space. Yeah.
Negative, positive, absolutely. And I think that again, you have this. You could really think about glomming them together, like as we're looking at them, but maybe even putting them closer so that this space goes away, or even leave it. But it becomes then a triptych or a diptych or even a composite piece where these all are working together.
Yeah, like I literally spent like a whole afternoon just doing just playing with it, and I feel like when you were saying that you can get seduced into the jelly plate of just printing, like that's what I was doing. So I feel like I need to sit with these for a little while before I start cutting them up.
Yeah,
because I think I will, but I need to figure out like what like when you do something on the jelly plate and at first you're like, oh, that's ugly.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, and then you come back a week later and you think the opposite.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's right, and that is. I'm happy to hear that a lot of you were really engaged, and in my mind, that is the best thing. The engagement in the work. Instead of feeling like it's a chore or feeling like don't know how to get into it. That is music to my ears. I love to hear that. I'm so glad that you had that experience.
It's fun to be in the flow.
It is fun to be. This is what we do this for. The flow. That. Expression that sort of encapsulates what feeling when you lose sense of time, when you are really just there in the moment. That's what we do this for. Great. I think, did we look at everybody who's present today? Is there anybody that we missed? Ellen, did you send me anything via email?
No, because I had to leave my house.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellen, you had this. You want to just mention what happened to you?
Well, we had an ice storm in Woodstock, and it was quite beautiful. I mean, gorgeous. But all the power lines went down, and we were without heat and electricity for several days, and our dog had such a hard time in the cold. So
Oh.
we had to leave, and I haven't gone back yet. So,
Ugh.
but we have it back. We have it back.
Okay, good.
But I
good.
just haven't gone back.
Ugh, what a mess. Well, but-
Oh. Mm.
I'm sorry to hear that, but it does sound like it was beautiful. I know it's always a mix. New England, we gotta love it. Okay, so this is great, everybody. Really, thank you for sharing all these, really, really interesting pieces and sharing your journey. And it's all good wherever you are. And again, that we're sharing to help each other to see what all the different possibilities are and to learn. Okay, so what I wanted to do was to continue along the lines of what to do with these prints, because I do think that this idea of using the printmaking as a way to explore other concepts in art making is super interesting, and so I wanted to talk about making a book. And so, just to say that this is, I use this a lot in the classes that I teach, because I just find, first of all, I love the idea of making books out of one's work. And I also love that it presents another way to communicate with your work, because so many times you think, oh, well, it's just a thing you put on the wall and somebody, looks at it or whatever. But then the thing about a book is that it's something that we can hold in our hands, and we can flip through pages, and we can, feel it, touch it, be, 5 inches away from our face. It's just a really different experience. And I think that it gives us all another way to work with these things that we've been playing with, and because they are prints, if they have a different quality, a different character than, and also you have a different relationship with them than if it were a painting or something else that we were doing. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but if you've never made a book, well, we're going to make one. And what is a book? A book is really just a series of images that are supposed to be kind of looked at together. So if you've done any kind of, if you have an awareness of artist books, I mean, artist books have been a thing forever. Like Matisse made artist books. You could go back to many, many artists from the modernist period on up, which means kind of like the beginning of the 1900s to the present day, have explored, making a book with their work. And then it got to be, more contemporary artists are still, really expanding with this whole idea of making a book is about, to, even to the very, very present, where you could make a book about the pandemic, the first 100 days of the pandemic, by, doing an image a day that, expressed how you were feeling at that time, and then, putting them all together, and then you have this whole series, so it's like a different thing. It has an element of time, I suppose, that we're introducing, whereas looking at one print on a wall, not that that's not an interesting thing as well. Looking at a print on a wall is fine, but the idea that you can expand it, it just presents, I present this to you as another thing to consider as we are working with our prints. So let me show you this video that I made about how to go about this. And what I was thinking was that we would do some of the early part of this together. So let me just go back to, actually, I want to put myself on speaker view just so that I can actually see myself. So this, again, this is a book that I did for a class like this that, I've been teaching this kind of thing over a couple of years now on Zoom. And so I have a video of how this is done to show you, but I want to just explain to you a little bit about what this is. So this is called an accordion book. And it's called an accordion book because literally the pages are folded together like an accordion. So, and it's an old traditional kind of way of making a book that, there are lots of ways of binding a book together with pages. And, there's a way that you can sew the pages together the way they used to do in the olden days. A scroll is a kind of a book, that we know back from way back, like, it's probably one of the earliest ways of making a book. But this one is a delightfully easy way with not a lot of pressure, because, people make books, and the whole craft of making a book is a whole thing in and of itself. But we're not going to be bothered by that in this class. This is simply to, get a feel for what this is, in a very kind of down and dirty kind of way. So I don't want anybody to get caught up or worried about perfectionism, because that's not what this is about, at all. So the accordion is what we're going to be doing. What I've done here too is I've actually gone another step, which we can do or not do later on, which is to add a harder cover to the book. But what we're really going to be concerned about is making the innards, this part of it. And Kate, who walks with me at Monotony Rocks a lot with our dogs, will know that this is a poem by our other local friend, Jessie Brown, and her poem is actually what I did to then, sort of finish this book. So what I will be asking you to do is to, and we're going to be adding text to your book, but I'm going to get you there in another way. But what I did here is I took her poem, which is a very short poem. I typed it out, printed it on, larger type font that I would normally use, cut up each line of the poem, and I kind of randomly, the images were random because I glued the images down. I didn't try to illustrate the poem. And you are also not going to try to illustrate. You're going to have an experience of chance where you're going to write we're going to get to that later. But anyway, what I did here was I didn't think about her poem before I did the images that I chose. I first took all my jellies and I cut them into smaller parts, and I glued them in the whole thing, and then I went ahead and added her lines to the images, so that I ended up with a happy accidents where the lines, because this is what our brains do. When we read something on a page, we automatically try to make relationships between the text and the image. So this says, I am the chestnut. And, again, this was so interesting because these are circular forms, which we think of as chestnuts, but there was no thought about that at all before I started doing it. With leaves like hands, I am the reaching branches. Come, don't you already know me? The pale green shell with its perfect horns, the lapped bark, root sap rising, I am the hard, dark satin heart that hurtles toward you. So it's just funny that you might see some coordination between the text and the image, but there was none on my part. So we're actually going to be doing that. And the reason that we're going to be doing a kind of random one is that it's very easy to get caught up in worrying about, making the images relate to the words, but I don't want you to do that. Because that's kind of gets in the way. All right, but more about that. The first part is actually making the book. Do you have any questions about this before I show you this video of how it's done?
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
So if you're making a really long accordion book,
Yeah.
how are you attaching each of the pages? Is it tape, or are you sewing it, or are you just using one long strip?
So we are going to do this. We're going to be making this in class. And as you can see, it's actually one long strip that was glued together in the middle. Because none of us has paper that is long enough, you know.
Oh, exactly, right.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure it out.
This is all, you know, all together. It's probably about a yard of paper. And this is what we're going to be doing. From your drawing paper, we're going to be making the basis for our books. Okay, so are you ready to go for this
Yeah.
video on how to do it? Okay, all right, here we go. And I want to optimize and all right. Okay.
This is an 18 by 24.
This is a little soft. You know what I'm going to
what
do?
Just fold it in half longwards.
Wait a minute. All right, I'm just going to skip this early part here. This is
So what you're going to do is take a large sheet of paper. This is an 18 by 24. And what I'm going to do is just fold it in half longwards. So this is actually bigger than the book that I initially showed you yesterday in that video. Just using my fingernails to hold that nice and.
I think I'm going to mute the sound because I want to narrate this for you all. So yeah, because it's a little, it gets a little bit. All right. So what I did here was I took a piece of my drawing paper and I folded it in half longwise. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is to do this along with me. So, and we're just to show you what we're going to do next. We're going to there we go. Overlap the two ends of the paper and then glue them down with some of the gel, soft gel matte medium that you have. And just to show you what that is going to look like, you might squeeze out a little bit onto one side of your paper. And don't be afraid to really put it down, because if you don't, it dries so quickly, especially when you spread it with like a piece of cardboard like this along the edges. It will dry pretty quickly. So, make sure that you use enough. You might have too much, which, that's easy to do, but then you're going to overlap your paper where it meets and then just press it down nice and evenly. So let me stop this right now, right here, and have you all do this along with me, because this is the part, this initial part can be a little tricky to do, especially with this online. So let's all do this together. Take a piece of your drawing paper. I'm assuming people have the 18 by 24. If you don't worry about it. You can still do a smaller book. It doesn't matter the size. But if you have 18 by 24, take your sheet of paper now and fold it in half longwise. So go ahead and do that along with me now.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is this the medium that you're talking about?
No, Kate.
No. Okay, so I don't think I have it. So I think I just need regular
glue is fine. You got a
glue would
glue
be
at
fine.
home?
Okay. Yeah, I'll get glue.
Elmer's, whatever, that's great. Yeah, you can even use tape, but tape isn't good for the long term because it will start to pull away. So everybody do this along with me. Take your 18 by 24, fold it in half longwise, and then you can rip it. If you crease it with your thumb, you can rip it in half, or you can just cut it with a pair of scissors. But there's no need to measure. It doesn't need to be that accurate. All right, so I'm going to give people about 5 minutes to do this. And if you have any questions or problems, just let me know. But so we're going to go ahead and split it along the long way, and then just glue it together on the edges. So you end up with a nice long piece of paper, long skinny piece of paper. And then when you're ready, just turn your images back on so I can see that you're ready.
Adria, how
Yeah.
much do you overlap?
About an inch.
Okay.
About an inch is good, yeah. Just so that, it's a really good bond, because you don't want your book to be falling apart once it's together. That would be a sad thing. So it's a nice bond. And then what'll happen is while we're talking about what to do next, that glue will dry. And then we'll get ready for the next part of it.
Adria,
Yeah,
are we going to be using up our jelly plate?
actually, no,
Oh.
probably not today.
I just can clear out my workspace.
Yeah, today we won't be doing any printing.
great.
We're going to be working on these books in class. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. I get to clear off my small little table here. Keep it simple.
Hi, Adria. I'm sorry, what's the dimension that we're trying to get for the books? I just have different paper size.
I think if it's 18 by 24, we're looking for 9 by 25,
Oh.
9 by 48,
Oh, wait a second. Oh,
right?
my.
So it's a half of a long sheet of paper. But if you have smaller paper, whatever the width dimension, just divide that in half.
Okay.
Yeah, because some of you have different sizes and that's fine. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all.
So if we do it this way, the final, we're using 18 by 24?
That's
Cutting
right. Mine was 18 by 24, cut down to, in half. So it'd be, and cut down in half sideways, widthwise, and then glued together. So you have two 24s together. That's 48 altogether, right?
Yep.
And then it's only 9 inches in half. Let me see what you're doing, Kate. Show me what you have. You look confused. You shouldn't be.
I have 18 by 12. paper.
Okay, so that's cut, yeah, fold it
So do
lengthwise.
it vertically or do it this way? I was thinking.
Lengthwise.
Lengthwise,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so it's skinny.
So it'll be
Skinny.
little, but that's
Yeah, yeah.
fine.
Okay, skinny. Yeah, you want these skinny books. They're going to be skinny.
All right. Sorry, had to run and find the glue, so I.
That's okay, no worries, no worries.
But
This
you'll
is why-
go, I'll catch up.
Yeah, no worries. This is why, yeah, okay, so let's move forward. So does everybody have their skinnies together? Want to just show me, just hold them up so that we can see where we all are. Because this part, I know it's a little confusing, especially if you've never done this before. It's like, whoa. Good. Okay, great. And they're going to be all different sizes. And if you decide that you would rather have a longer book, you can always add another piece of paper to it. These can be as long as you want them to be. You can even add a piece of paper after you started adding your images to your book. It's very, very forgiving because it's just glue. You just add another, you just glue more together. Okay, good. So I don't see everybody, but I'm assuming that everybody is in fact got where we are. All right.
I'm good. I'm struggling with the glue and stuff, but I'm fine.
Okay. So now what I want to do, because I want to go back to the video and show you the rest, this keep going, but let's not do anything till I get to the end of it. By the end of the time, you'll be able to then go back to it and know that your piece is going to be glued together. It'll be dry by that time. And then we can go ahead and make what am I trying to say? The accordion. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the rest of this, whoops, hold on. Oh, this is so funny. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. Share screen. Wait a minute. This is the wrong one. This is last week's. Hold on here. Yeah, okay. Sorry, you guys. I'm not as adept today for some reason about making this whole thing work here.
Hi, everybody. So this is a little video about how to make your book. So what you're going to do is
Wait a minute.
take a large sheet of paper. This is an 18 by 24. And what I'm going to do is just fold it in half longwards. The reason we folded it first in half is so that we have nice even. So this is actually we got.
Wait a minute. I am so messed up here. I've got two of these going at the same time.
And then just start folding back and forth. So you're literally making an accordion.
Okay.
So some of the folds that you made are going to be going in a different direction than you initially made. But you just fold them back and forth.
All right, hang on now. I've got to go back and show you where this all was at the beginning. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm being very challenged today myself in terms of, all right, so what we got here where we were was we glued this whole thing together. Remember that. All right, so we were gluing it together. We finished gluing it together. There we go. Okay. That's where we were. All right. And then, with your fingers, you just, really nice and smoothing it out, we're going to let it dry. Okay. In this video, I did not let it dry. You can see it's a little harder to work with, but you're going to fold the whole thing in half first. Okay. So let me just talk you through this. You fold the whole thing in half. And then you're going to fold it in half again. This is how we make it all even. So it's actually really really a good way to do this. So then you take it and you fold it again, right? And just see how mine is lifting a little bit because I started to do this whole process a little too early before the glue had dried completely. But you fold it in half again, and then you make a nice mark with your thumbnail, and then you fold it in half one more time. Like that. So you're folding each time in half, one more, in half. So you do 3 halves to get, folded just like you do like in half plainly. And once you've got those all nicely, you've used your thumbnail to give it a good crease. What we're then going to do is we're going to open the whole thing up until I catch up here. Yeah, I'm going to open the whole thing up and we've got creases, right? This is where we're going to then do the accordion. So you're going to unfold the whole thing, right? And then you're going to just go back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes the fold will be in the right direction and sometimes you'll have to, kind of fold it back. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so that's our next step. Okay, so we're going to stop there. Now, I want everybody to go ahead and do that. I'm hoping that this glue will be, good enough together now so that you fold it in half once, and then you fold it in half again, and then a half again. So go ahead and do that. And then when you do that and you feel comfortable, open it up and you can make your folds. So let me give everybody about 5 more minutes just to get to that step. And I'm here to answer any questions if this seems confusing.
So Adria, for your little dyslexic gel maker.
That's fine. Yeah, no problem.
So, okay, got it all folded. And now the accordion,
Yep.
we start at, does it matter what end?
Nope.
And basically you're going the opposite way, right?
You're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Not the opposite way. It's just any way. Just make an accordion out of it. You'll see. It'll all work. Doesn't matter where you start. Yep. Just go back and forth. Yeah. You have to pull. Yeah. You have to open it up first. Yep. That's right,
Yep.
Sally. You did it.
So you open it up and you go. I'm sorry, I'm a little dense on this. I'm not quite getting.
Show me what you're doing. Can you?
Well, I have, here I am. I have my folds.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. And hold it up. Yep. Just hold it up and then start, going back and forth, just back and forth, just like an accordion. Okay, how's everybody else doing? Okay, everybody else, I can't see you. All right, Katie, great. Tammy, how are you doing back there?
I'm good.
Okay, Nancy, you're just watching, right? And Ellen, how are you doing? Oh, you're watching too. Okay, so we really only have 4 people today to worry about. Actually, okay.
Maybe that's enough.
All right, how are we doing? I know, I mean, you're not the only one. Kate, this is exactly why
I know why I'm
do this,
finding
because
this challenging. right
every
now.
time, no, it's not you, it's every
Yeah,
time I
so,
teach
so
it.
wait, so instead of like the accordion metaphor, like the shape we're trying to make is just like one long strip,
Yep,
and we're gonna paste like little pieces on each. So if we were to just hold it out in front of us,
yeah,
it would just be one long strip with pages, right?
That's
It's the accordion happens when it, like at the last step when we fold it.
yes, but Kate just did it. You got it, Kate.
I
Yeah.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, you just went back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so that, see, when you put it together, it enables you to open this little book. Like you can look at it, one page at a time.
Okay.
So easy like this, and you could, the other cool thing is you could also just lead it up, to show it, on a desk or something like that, so people could see all the pieces at the same time. So it really is such a nice functional little, way to do this. All right, so now that you've done that, we're going to get to the heart, the fun part, the really fun part, which is now to get to choose the images that are going to be inside your book. So let's go back to this thing again. And all right. Okay, so there we go. That's what we've got. Now, all right. This part, what I'm showing you is how to get your images. And I love this part because this brings together another tool that I wanted to show you, which is a cropping tool. And it's simply 2 L-shaped pieces of paper that you can use to find really interesting compositions within a bigger piece. So look at that. 2 L-shaped pieces of paper. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to go back to your older prints, all of them, or just ones that you think might be fun to work with, and to find, shapes, kind of rectangles that fit into the little, the little white, area that you have on each of your pieces of paper. It, does not have to be perfect. It can be, each one can be, a little bit different. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like another time, if you wanted to do your book and you wanted to do it all, perfect, you can do that. But for this class, I'd much rather have you just focus on finding really interesting designs and learning, what that feels like and cutting them out. And then that will be the imagery that we're going to be using for your book. So as you can see, I'm moving this around in different ways to find a really interesting part of, some given, print that I'm going to be using. And once I decide what I like, I just take a pencil or a marker, it doesn't really matter, just something so that you can see the lines that you are going to cut on. And then there you go. You basically cut out that shape. So, this is a way for you to go back to even some of your earliest prints. And I'm convinced that every single one of everyone's prints, you will find some really interesting shape, that will, a really interesting rectangle. And this is the beauty of learning to use a cropping tool. It can help you, when something overall isn't working quite well, you can often find a more interesting spot by just cropping it down. And that's how you get each page of imagery. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Questions, comments? Make sense?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So my accordion book is about 5.5 across by 9. If I want it to be a different dimension, can I just cut?
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay.
And also, Sally, if you feel like you might have not enough accordion pages. How many pages do you end up with?
Oh, good question. I don't know, because I glued 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, that's
8
fine.
pages.
Yeah, okay, so if everybody has about 8 to 12 pages, that's great. I mean, you want it to be long enough so that there's like, you know, it's a thing. It's like you're able to turn the pages, and also you want to have enough room for our text when we come to putting that in. So you don't want it to be like just 4 pages isn't quite enough. You know, 16 might be too many. So you can always just add more if you need more, and you might need it as we move on, you might not. Okay, so now let's spend the next half an hour finding croppings. So go for it. And, you know, this is where you want to use your gut. I mean, I think there are many possibilities. I think there is no right or wrong. I think that, you know, this is something that you are going to get a lot from. When I learned that I could crop my work, it was like such a revelation. It was so satisfying to do, to be able to go back to a painting that wasn't quite working and say, oh, but this part here, this is just what I was hoping to do. And I could cut it right out. That is such a freeing and such a loosening up of boundaries that I think, you know, to know that you can do that with your prints or with anything you do is really great. So I want you to experience what that's like to crop your work, and also to not be precious about your work. Like, you can make more. As you can see, you make these like very easy to make 12. It goes very quickly, and you don't have to worry so much because you know that you can always change them.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Or like a suggestion? I mean, I find myself a little overwhelmed. I have so many prints, so many colors, so many different looks. Like, would you recommend like color theme, or just go crazy?
Just go crazy. You know, start at the beginning if you want to. You know, and
Yeah.
you're only going to really need 8 to 12 of these anyway. So there may even be 2 of it. There may even be one that you can actually get 2 croppings out of. And in terms of your cropping, I didn't really talk about what to do, but yeah, just take a sheet of your paper, you know, make an L shape out of one and the other one, and it doesn't even have to be measured. Like, they don't even have to be perfect. If it's just more or less a right angle, that's fine. In fact, it's maybe even better not to have them all like perfect, because you know, our work has an organic quality about it already. So, you know, edges that are a little wiggly, who cares? Yeah, you know, it's good to have like an inch or at least an inch of white space, because that just helps you to see better, you know, what you're looking at. If it's too thin, it's maybe a little bit harder to isolate out that special part that you want to use. So I would say, you know, these L shapes that are like 2 inches border around each one, great. Okay. And then, you know, as I said, move them around. As long as they're going to fit into the little area that you have. Like, mine is pretty small. This is a teeny book, I think, compared to a lot of what you're using. That's fine. You know, as long as it fits in there, it's fine.
Mine's little.
You know, anybody, you know, there's really no right or wrong about this. It's just like, let's just do a down and dirty book format here.
And so, Adria, also, if we want to do a cover,
Let's
right?
not do that right now. Yeah.
Right. But if we want to save a space for a cover, right.
Well, you can always add another piece of paper to that end, Tammy. You know, you can, if you want to, like for this one, I think let's see, for this one, my first page is glued right onto the cover, but you might want to, you know, then add a little. I wouldn't worry too much about that. There are all kinds of ways that you can add an area for your cover.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So So I have a question.
Yeah.
It's Katie. So I should leave the front top page blank and start on the inside like a regular book, right?
Oh, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I mean, that goes to Tammy's just question. I mean, yeah, what did I do here? I did leave that first one. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess, yeah, if you planned to put a cover on it, yeah, leave that first page blank. You're right. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, so leave that first page as you open it up blank, and then you can start, on this page.
Okay. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages, right?
Yeah, on the other hand, there's nothing wrong with having when your image glued onto the front cover either.
On
So,
the first page.
on the first page, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It could easily be here, but like, we're used to, I suppose, having this sort of blank first page in a book, which you could do too. But again, there's no right
Got
or
it.
wrong
Got
to,
it.
to doing this. You can always add another page, easily add another page now, just gluing it to the back of the other page that you want to add more to.
Because there will always be, if we do it on the first page, there'll always be a full spread, a left
Yeah.
and right. Yeah, okay. I'm
Yes.
gonna do that.
That's right. That's another thing to think about. Yeah. Of course, I didn't, when I jumped into this, think about that.
Yeah.
But those are really good things to think about. Yeah. But then again, you can always refold your accordion book. You can, anyway.
Add a page or whatever.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to get this too complicated at the beginning. The point here is to learn about the croppings, and to use those to get your images, and then to make a sequential series of prints that are all glued together to make a book. So let's, like I said, let's kind of come back together again at about 12:30, see how we're doing with, the cropping. And I'd love to see those croppings, what you chose out of older pieces, and how that's all going for you. So at 12:30, I'll just have everybody stop where you are. Not that you're finished, but just to kind of see, just to check in and see where we are with all of this.
Adria,
Yeah.
so we figure out the size that we want to crop each page, and then we can just crop like 8 of them, right?
Exactly.
And then.
Yep.
put it
And then we're
together.
going to glue them together. Yeah, that's the next step. So just crop now, don't glue yet. Just find things that you like, yeah, and just crop them. And again, they don't have to be the exact size. They can fit in anyway, it's just kind of approximate.
Yep.
And to reiterate, if you decide that you really like this idea of making books, yeah, you can, really be much more precise about it, later on your second and third or fourth books, that you want to make. I don't want us to get bogged down in perfection when we're doing it. So I'm loose about it, and I want you to feel just more relaxed about doing this. Not worry about sizes, precise sizes.
Adria,
Mhm.
are we gluing in our prints yet or just selecting them?
Just select them. Yeah,
Okay.
just select them because then I'll talk to you about gluing. That's another kind of a little bit of a technical thing.
Okay.
I guess you want to be cutting them the same size.
Like I
It
said,
doesn't matter.
approximate size. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You know, none of this really matters. Because the thing is, Kate, if you know, it might affect how you choose your design. Like there might be, a design that just needs that extra little bit and another one that should be smaller, according to how
Yeah.
you crop it. And so I'd
Yeah.
rather have you kind of be more interested in the cropping and the design than that it fit.
Okay.
Adria, I have to leave.
Okay, Ellen.
Well, I'm gonna listen to the recording because
Yeah.
there was too much going on here. I couldn't.
Sure, sure, no problem. I'll send it to you this afternoon. Do we need a little more time before we talk? Yeah,
Yes, please.
okay. Let's do another 10 minutes and try to stop around 1:45, and then we can check out what we've got. Okay, everybody, we just have a little bit more time for the class, so I did want to check in with you about how it is going with cropping, and also to talk to you a little bit about how you're actually going to glue your work into place, which is not a big deal. It's probably very self-explanatory, but I just wanted to get over that with you and to tell you what your homework will be. So yeah, let's just check in with each person real quickly. Maybe if you can show us some of the ones that you've been cropping down, you know, just and any thoughts you've had while you were working. I'd love to hear those. Tammy, do you want to start? Because I see you all ready to go there.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out which side I like better, because
Yeah.
there were a lot of prints, especially at the beginning, where I had done both sides.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah. So I'm playing around with like, oh, like I really like this, but then I also really like this.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
good. Yeah.
comparison
And,
of bridges, right?
had you ever done a cropping exercise before? Is this something new?
No, I think we did cropping at the last
Oh.
class. Yeah, but I love the idea, and I love the, you're right, it's a whole new tool.
Yes. Yeah, we did cropping in the other class you took with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought you meant last week. I'm like,
I know, you're like,
Yeah.
"Ooh,
Which
Tammy,
class is that?
what class were you in?
Yeah. No, I love cropping. All right. Anybody else want to share your a couple of the things that you found, or any that what that experience is like to cut out your preferred spot? Katie? Yeah.
I just, this one is kind of cool because I realized, oh, negative, positive space.
Yes.
Oh, and it gave me a different eye to, you know, and go with some, you know, kind of crazier stuff, but
Great.
anyway.
Yeah. I mean, this can really be a
The idea
revelation.
of positive, negative started coming back as I was cropping.
Exactly. It is just a great little tool to know how to do. Yeah. Anybody else want to share what you've been up to? Kate, you want to just?
I mean, I don't have anything I'm incredibly impressed with. I have gotten,
Doesn't matter.
my book is very little.
Okay, great.
So
Yeah.
what, and I didn't get a chance to play with collaging at all. So
Yeah.
I'm a little distracted by
Oh,
doing
yeah.
that
Okay.
to enhance. And I'm also finding I'm very attached to some of my prints. I
give
don't
it up.
like
Absolutely, I agree. Some I'm not cutting up.
That's okay. I'm taking the ones I less like, therefore they have less interest, so they need more help.
I know. Well, yeah. Okay. But it looks great. And I'm
That's
hoping, yeah, you're seeing, hold up one of those little squares again. Aren't those really tasty little pieces? Yeah.
Nice.
Look at that gorgeous negative positive, right? And you really see it, especially when you crop in. Yeah.
And this is pretty boring. I just added these two little collage, little cutouts.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how it changes it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, Sally, you want to show us?
I've sort of decided to go with a green theme
Yeah.
and then transition from green and yellow
Yeah.
to green and blue and yellow to, so I have all these pieces. And then
Yay, because
add
I
in some
wanted to do
pink
something. Good for you. I
Yeah.
applaud that.
That's great. And
Thank you.
it's funny because you'll see how, yes, you can be, careful to kind of keep in a couple of, a sort of color range. And that's awesome. But it's also kind of interesting to see what'll happen when you shift gears and what happens with the text. So this is going to be a surprise that,
Right.
you're not going to be able to really anticipate.
Yeah.
But all right, let's see, who else did we not see?
Because Andrea, we can lay our text on top of or above or below or any way we want, right?
That is right. You have such freedom and so what I'm going to do is did we look at everybody? Tammy, did you show us yours? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, what we are I'm going to do is make a video to send you to talk about that next piece, which is what kind of text and how to kind of get there with that. And I would love for you to finish these books to the stage where you've got the imagery glued in and you've also done this piece, which will keep you busy, because this next piece with the text and how you got to go about that will be. And so I would love to just put this thought in your mind, which is to really try to be to go with the flow with the text. So I'm going to give you a little sort of experience to go through to get to the text. And I want you to just try to be faithful and not to fudge, because I know you're going to want to make it all work, but try to go against that impulse, because what the other thing we're learning here is about how to embrace serendipity and chance. And chance operations comes from the Surrealists. So the Surrealists were this whole group of people that kind of came about in reaction to the First World War, and they were really fighting against everything that came before them in the art world that was all about control, and kind of giving up control and allowing these wonderful coincidences that happen when you put things together that shouldn't maybe necessarily go together. There's juxtapositions that happen that are just so incredibly, like the whole idea that I had here, where I had the poem about chestnuts, but I had no idea that I was going to use it for this. And the circle ended up working so wonderfully with the word chestnut. I never could have anticipated that. So those little happy accidents that happen, we're going to learn about that. In terms of gluing down your work, you've all now had some experience with using this, a glue of some sort, whether it's, something that you had at home, or whether it was the soft gel matte acrylic medium, whatever you use. The ideal way to do that, of course, is like you have been doing with your collages, putting it down on a piece of paper that you don't care about, and then using your glue so thinly, but enough so that it's not going to peel up. So a thin covering, and then going all the way to the edges so that the edges don't peel. And I think that's something that you really want to be careful of doing, especially now that we're putting it into a book, to go all the way to the edges.
With the glue.
With the glue, yeah. And then flipping it over back onto your clean page, and having it sit really nicely. So, so as you can see here, yeah, that's just something you really want to pay attention to. And then when you glue it, to just use your fingers over the whole thing and, gently, really press it so that you're sure that you're getting a good adherence, all the way and all over that piece of paper. So it's nice and flat. You can even use your brayer, just put a piece of whatever, just an extra sheet of paper on top and, brayer it down. So it's a nice, really good, strong adhesion. And then what you'll want to do when you're done with the whole gluing thing is to put something in between each page. Like I was using freezer wrap, but like some kind of wax paper or just any, something that's not going to stick. Because what's going to happen is your glue is going to get outside the edges. It's inevitable. So you just don't want to have the whole thing stuck together like this. And we're going to put it under some heavy books. And if you don't put things between your pages, you're going to end up with, inevitably, you're going to have some of your pages are going to be glued together by mistake. And it's not the worst thing in the world, but you can avoid that by just putting something like plastic wrap between each piece, even a plastic bag in between each piece. So that you take your whole book, without the covers, put it down and put something heavy on top of it, just like leave it overnight. And the next day when you come back, you're going to get a really nice, flat, beautifully glued, inner book. And then what we'll do next week is I'll show you how to make covers for the book. And then you're also going to, meanwhile, I forgot to say that after you've glued down all your pieces, then the next day, that's when you're going to then go ahead and glue in your text. So that when we see each other next time, you'll have everything done in the inside of the book.
So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are we supplying our own text?
No.
Oh.
I'm going to give you a little project as to how to do this, though. I mean,
Okay.
it is your own. It'll be both yours and something that I'm giving you. So my strategy here is to give you a way to make some text that you're not going to feel too precious about. You're not going to feel like, oh my God, this is some famous author's work. I don't feel like I'm up to it, or any, so this, you'll see. I don't want to give it away because I want you to be surprised.
Okay, got it.
I want you to be surprised. All right, yeah.
And Kate, I just wanted to say I love your dog.
Yeah.
I saw your dog take over.
Thank you. Yeah, I had to bring her in here. So he's very protective. So he's like the cleaning ladies here. So he may have to kill her, but yeah.
I thought he was like, wait, don't cut that one up. That one's the best.
And then he's like, if you're coming in here, what's going on? He's a classic Australian Shepherd, very nosy. But Adrian knows him well.
Oh, yeah.
My dogs are
my dog and that dog get along very, very well. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when we come back for next week, we will have a poem, we'll have all the pages in, and we will have glued down the poem on the book.
Yeah.
So everything will be done except for the cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I might have to quit work.
You will have to- absolutely.
I know it. It in. I got a lot going on here, but
Oh my goodness.
Priorities.
Yeah, you gotta prioritize.
I know, it's a shame that work stuff gets in the way of the art making. It really always does. But so that's it, everybody. I mean, so, you have your marching orders. Katie, did you have a question?
Leah?
Katie, did you?
No, I gotta go.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm going to be sending you an email and a video that will explain, the next, what to do. And that's basically it. So have fun with it.
Thank
And,
you.
enjoy this process. All right, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
You too. Have a good week.